Well, hello and welcome everybody. This is StreamingChurch TV, our video blog. I'm your host today, Phil Thompson, and every Thursday evening we do this at 6 o'clock here in Arizona. We're over here at Rockin' Java, as we usually are. This is a great coffee shop, which happens to be an Alive Church venue. Alive Church is a church I go to and one of the web pastors at. Steve Lacey also happens to go there, and Steve is, of course, our founder and president of StreamingChurch.tv. And Steve is actually behind the camera today because we're going to be talking with a special guest here, Michael Robinson. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing good.
It's good to have you here. I'll introduce you officially here in a second. I guess I already did, but I just want to let a few people know that, first of all, you're welcome to chime in here, so to speak, with chat. We have a chat box here. You can, as you know, you can chat and ask any questions you might have. Today, primarily what we're going to talk about is a software for streaming called Wirecast. And we'll get into what that is and what all that entails here in a moment. But I do want to remind you there are archives. We will archive this, which means you can go back and listen to it and look at it later. In fact, the bottom of your chat box here, you see a little vault. That's our, you open that thing up and that will show you some of the past things we've done here, our video blog, some of the things we've done in the past. What we do here every Thursday evening is pretty raw. We literally just kind of drag everything in here. We bring a light from my shop, and we have our camera on a tripod and our laptops, and we just kind of set it up and we have fun here. It's just meant to be kind of an informal thing, and we really do appreciate the folks at Rockin' Java here in the Continental Ranch area here, allowing us to take over the place, and they do have some great coffee. Okay, so enough of that stuff. Let's talk a little bit to Michael Robinson here. Michael, it's again good to have you here. You're an elder at not just one church, but two churches.
I'm an elder at Book of Life Community Church, and I help out at Congregation Bethsar Shalom.
Okay.
I volunteer my time.
Before we get into Wirecast, and I know there's a couple people chomping at the bit to hear about this, but let me, just for a couple minutes, let's talk a little bit about those churches.
Okay.
And there's two different groups there. What's the difference? I mean, one of them is a Messianic Jewish congregation, am I correct?
That's true. Congregation Bethsar Shalom, started by Steve Shermet, which is the pastor there, and at Book of Life Community Church.
Very quickly, what is the Messianic Jewish Church? What's that all about?
Basically, Messianic goes to the heart of Jewish people who have embraced Jesus as their Lord and Savior.
Okay.
And so Steve is looking to bring Jewish people to Jesus Christ, and
okay.
that's the Messianic mantra there.
Okay. Okay, and you guys meet Saturdays? Is that
Saturdays,
correct?
10:30 p.m. or 10:30 a.m.
10:30 a.m. You're not a night people. You're 10:30 in the morning.
Well, I try to be a night person, but not for services.
All right.
But yeah, they meet on Saturdays, and that's the Sabbath.
Right.
So that's the day they meet, and then Book of Life meets the following day on Sunday at 10:30.
Okay. And Book of Life Community Church. Are you guys a non-denominational church?
Non-denominational church.
Okay.
Steve started it 5 years ago,
okay.
and it's been going pretty good.
Awesome.
We're sister churches. We try to do everything together.
Okay.
And you know, we have a 20th anniversary coming up this Saturday for Bethsar Shalom. 20 years.
I remember when he started that. I used to be with KVOI, KGMS Radio, and I do remember that. So that's awesome. Well, you guys obviously you stream.
We do.
And you stream your services, and that's what we really want to talk about today. How long, first of all, have you been streaming your services?
I think we started in March. Steve probably knows better than I when we started, but I think it was March of this year.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh,
we were working some kinks out, and finally Cox Cable got involved, and we got the broadband we needed to start it. Okay. But we started in March. We officially launched it in May.
Okay.
And it's been a great experience, no doubt.
Okay. Well, that's good. So let's talk a little bit about that. So are you streaming with both churches then?
We do. We stream both services, and we have a Wednesday night service we also stream.
You stream that as well? Okay.
Correct.
So what is your deal there? What's your position at the churches there?
Right now, all right, I'm the technology director, if you want to call it that. But right now, I'm pretty much the only person doing any streaming, any chatting. I do everything.
You do it all. Okay. All right, good. So you're the expert. So we've got the right guy here today.
You've got the right guy here for this.
Talk about streaming. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about Wirecast. Now, for those who may be new to this, or thinking about streaming their services. In order to do this, and I'm going to try to use layman terms here, in order to what we're doing here, you have to take the signal and transfer it and make it in such a way. Now my phone's going off.
It's all about technology.
It's all about technology, and we've got it right now. But in order to take this signal and actually get it on the web, it's got to go through some changes. And what we have on computers, or not even computers, but other things, is what we call encoders. Encoders take your signal and make it so that it's able to go on over the World Wide Web. At StreamingChurch TV, where I work, and what we recommend is we encourage people to use Flash Media Encoder. We also say you could use Windows Media Encoder. There's other encoders you can use as well, but you can also use something else called Wirecast, which I guess is, and I'm not using it, so I'm going to ask you what Wirecast is.
Okay. Well, as far as the encoding, Wirecast does do the encoding for you to be able to broadcast over the internet. The main reason we bought it was we don't have any production type hardware because we only have one camera. We don't have any overlays for the words, so you get a kind of dry experience online.
Okay.
So we were looking for software where we can be a little more interactive, transition shots. If we ever wanted to expand our camera system, we needed some kind of hardware or software. Hardware is way more expensive. I think Wirecast is $395 or $495.
Somewhere in there.
So we were like, well, we can try that software out and see how well it'll operate if we ever decide to get some multiple cameras.
Okay.
And that was kind of my thinking. So let's try the software out, see how the production side, where you can switch shots and add titles, things like that.
All right, so it gives you multiple inputs, so to speak. So it encodes, but it also gives you the ability to put other things in.
Correct. You need FireWire cards to install for each camera. That's that's a little more, but those cards are inexpensive. Right. So as long as you can get a camera, you can use the software as your switcher without having to buy an actual hardware switcher.
And that's what Wirecast. So Wirecast, in a way, is an encoder and a switcher.
Correct.
Now you're welcome to ask questions here, folks. You can type in your questions on the box here. Gene here says these encoders, as far as I know, do not allow multiple input devices. But they do, don't they? Don't they allow multiple
Wirecast?
Wirecast does.
As many FireWire cards you can put in your computer.
Yeah.
That's how many cameras you can use.
Okay.
Now, how efficient that's going to be, I have 3 cameras right now.
Okay.
I ran into some problems having those 3 cameras. I don't know yet if that's a bandwidth issue or something else, but I'm down to 2, and that seems to be working just fine with everything.
Steve, there's a funny-looking guy here by the name of Steve Schmidt. Who's that guy? I don't know who he is.
I think that's my pastor.
Oh, is that who that guy is?
Trying to get involved here.
All right, okay. So Wirecast, you're saying that you can have some inputs for Wirecast and do multiple cameras and all that. Okay. Okay. So sorry about that, Steve. Do you remember me, Steve? I don't know if you do or not. It's been a long time. How could you forget me, though, right? Okay. Adobe Encoder only allows one input.
Okay.
And I think Media Encoder, you can have multiple inputs, I think, on the Windows Media Encoder. Am I correct in that, guys? Windows. The professional one does. Okay. Yeah. See, I'm getting help behind the scenes here because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. So, all right. So you're using it, and by the way, you mentioned bandwidth issues you maybe have. So are you? What are you using? You mentioned Cox cable? You're using cable?
Correct. We're using Cox cable's business solution, which is more expensive than the home solution. So we get 15 megabits down, 2 megabits up per second. So that seems to work fine as far as the uploads. Okay. It's just when you're doing the transition shots on Wirecast, for whatever reason, as it reads that data, it tends to cause issues sometimes. So I've learned to keep my transitions down to a minimum as far as I can cut shots, but the transition like fading out, blurring out, those tend to take away from the bandwidth.
Yeah, you're not on a T1. A live church, the church I go to, is on a T1. They have a T1 here at this place because at a live church, we do different venues.
Right. And
you guys are talking about doing that. We'll get into that probably in a couple minutes.
Right.
A possible venue for what you guys are doing. Okay, so Let me try to stay on track here and also read questions coming across here. Thank you very much. I can multitask here. All right, so multi cameras is something that Wirecast can do.
Definitely.
You can do different multiple broadcast support here. In other words, you can load up videos.
Correct.
Stick those in like in a kind of a hold pattern, I guess you would say.
Correct. You can transfer MP4 files, MOV files, which are movie files.
Right.
One thing I have noticed, for whatever reason, different compressions, depending on what compressor you use, some are glitchy.
Okay.
So I've learned that the real players converter seems to work the best so far.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's different protocols, but because I'll start playing and the audio will be horrible. It's like, what happened? So every single time I make sure I use the real player converter. And but yeah, you can use it to cue the next shot or the next video or what's coming. The next slide. We have PowerPoint slides coming over as well. Okay. So when we're doing the video, we can cut away from the video and go to the slide, or we can have the slide picture in picture. And have them side by side.
Picture. Okay.
Yes, definitely. And so it makes production a lot easier for the people viewing to be able to have the slides that everybody's seeing in service.
Okay.
As well.
So Wirecast does that now. Have you guys ever experimented at all, like with the green screen? Or
not yet.
Screen?
We haven't gotten that crazy yet. But that's once we make sure Wirecast can do everything we need it to do, and services go off without a hitch consistently, which it has been, but. Every time I try something new, something else comes up. So,
it's like hitting the things.
Exactly. So as I learn, and part of it may be I'm using a Mac Pro and 2 gigabytes of RAM, big hard drive, but I may need more RAM. Okay. So there's things I'm experimenting with as funds allow. Okay. So, but it could be a memory issue on my computer as well. So I don't want to rule anything out.
Or it could just be a money issue.
Well, it's always a money issue.
It's always a money issue.
Anyone who wants to donate, no.
Actually, there are links. I don't know if I mentioned this. There are a couple links down here to your church. Church is a Book of Life Community Church is a link. So if you want to check out what Michael's an elder there. Steve Shermitt was online. I think I chased him away. And Beth Star Shalom. There's also a link for that. As we said at the beginning of the broadcast, Michael's kind of unique here in the sense that there's kind of 2 churches that he's a part of. And speaking of that, Steve's still here. You guys are talking about possibly doing a venue over Midwest, East, somewhere?
Minnesota, North Minnesota.
And so when we talk about venue here, we're talking about taking the services you're broadcasting and having it over to somebody's location in Minnesota.
Correct.
How's that going to work for you? Have you talked that out?
Right now they're using a computer, obviously, to watch services.
Right.
What they would like to do is have it on a big screen, maybe start with a LCD screen, 46-inch, and get up to a projector size, Okay. So we're like, well, the quality at a higher resolution isn't there with our bandwidth because we're sharing it with all the viewers.
Right.
So to do this, we're going to need to isolate a bandwidth for them.
Right.
And chances are we're going to have to get another broadband connection from Cox Cable, or think about a T1 line or T3 line to do that. Yeah. So, but right now they're watching, so that's great.
That's good. No, that's great. You got to start somewhere. Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk again about Wirecast. So far, you've been using it for several months. You like it, but you're hoping that maybe it improves. There's another version of Wirecast coming out?
There's a version 4 that's been coming out for 7 months now. But for a lot of the transition shots, the ability to with the cameras, it's not as intuitive as I would like. Switching back and forth. But and also they have some broadcast capabilities like overlay. Because right now we use the PowerPoint, but it'd be nice to be able to overlay words like when the musicians are singing, and just have it straight on like a TV production would do. Yeah. And so we're looking forward to some of those kind of things to make life easier for us.
We're using at a live church. I think we're using a TriCaster to do that. And so although we had Michael Gray on here recently, and he was kind of thinking, he said if I had to do it all over again, he goes, I'd maybe dump the TriCaster and go with something like Wirecast. What do you think about that?
If you have a camera switcher, the hardware, and you have the ability to do, your PowerPoint slides or however you're doing your slides, Wirecast can be awesome.
Yeah.
Because what we learned is, because part of my thing is I'm kind of the cameraman / online streamer,
so
because I'm trying to make sure we have the shots, because we don't have we don't have a cameraman to operate both cameras.
Yeah.
So I kind of set up a shot ahead of time.
Yeah.
He's doing his shot, and then we work with that.
Right.
But if we had a switcher over there, it'd eliminate me having to do transitions, and that would mean it won't affect the bandwidth. Because they're doing the transitions, all I'm doing is broadcasting the transition.
So Steve needs to open up his wallet.
That's what I'm saying, Steve. Come on.
That's right.
No. But yeah, if we could get a hardware switcher, I think it eliminates a lot of those bandwidth issues.
Right.
Plus, it puts more control on the video team, so I don't have to worry about it as the producer of the web pastor part. So it gets me more towards the chatting and interacting, and less towards worrying about the video shots all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting as we talk about streaming, churches streaming. And by the way, if you just logged on, we're talking to Michael Robinson, who's from Book of Life Community Church, and also Beth Sar Shalom. He's so good, he's at 2 churches. But he's I'm off track here. But, when we talk about streaming, you can start off, and even our church, a couple of years ago, start off with very, very primitive, simple streaming camera, kind of like what we're doing here,
right?
And very simple, and it worked, and people liked it, and it met the need.
Correct.
But then as time went on, we continued to, expand and do some more things. And now, like at our church at Alive, we've got like a back room that's almost like a, television production room. We've got TriCasters and people mixing sound specifically for the online broadcast.
Right.
And web pastors and all that, and you guys are kind of moving that direction too.
Yes, I don't mix the sound, but I control the sound, because sometimes you need to turn the levels up. So I have my own feed to be able to. I get the main mix where I can do that. So sometimes the pastor's a little quieter than the band was, but those in the beginning that was a big issue. Everyone's, well, where's he? I can't hear anything, and it's like, well, I don't have a board, so I have to talk to the sound guy. Can you turn it up? Well, it's kind of loud in the house. So we got my own board where I can control the volume.
Good.
And once again, we want to break those positions up, obviously, where you're not. I got to worry about the sound and still worry about ministering to the flock online. So we're working that out.
Steve just needs to get more volunteers.
We're working on it.
I could come and speak and get more volunteers. I'd do it for a price, but I could do it. Okay.
Please do.
Questions. If you have any questions, feel free to type those in. Am I missing some questions here? What do you recommend for a hardware switcher? That's a question. Do you have a recommendation?
I haven't used the hardware switcher.
What are we using as a hardware switcher at Alive? Do you know that?
Well, the TriCaster.
The TriCaster is what we're using, but okay. So the TriCaster.
Multiple video inputs into the TriCaster.
And what's the price tag on a TriCaster?
To be able to stream Flash, it's $8,000 for the Pro version.
$8,000 to stream Flash. We need to get you on mic, is what we need to get you on.
That's why I like Wirecast.
Yeah, Wirecast $400.
Yes.
TriCaster $8,000. What should we do here? I don't know. Okay, so sound is always the issue. Yes, it is. The green screen makes Wirecast worth it. That's Pastor Lane. He says the green screen makes Wirecast worth it. So
it is a good quality to have in a piece of software. I haven't used it yet because obviously we don't need it for our staging. But if we ever want to do any other kind of venues, things like that, then it'll come into play. And if I ever get myself online, obviously they don't want to see all the stuff behind me. So a green screen would be good.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely.
All right. So Wirecast gives you a lot of different options here. The pros, we've talking about the pros. What are some of the cons that you have kind of seen? Some of the things like, I don't like this. Maybe I want to do something different. You were mentioning the transitioning a little.
Yeah, the transitioning. I mean, the what's the word I'm looking? The manual. There's not really a manual.
No manual.
They give you information, but they don't give you details.
Okay.
And without the details, you're sitting there trying to, figure out what to do next. And so you have to kind of learn as you go.
Yeah.
And that's my problem. I'm learning as I go. I'm learning new features. Then I learn those new features don't work maybe with my hardware or with how we have it set up. Right. So you're just it's a work in progress.
Right.
So hopefully when 4 comes out, they're a little more detailed about how it works and where to go for information. But overall, for what if you're just looking for a program that you want to produce television-like, and you don't have the funds for hardware,
right,
it's a great program. I haven't found anything better than Wirecast.
We actually have a link for Wirecast. It's produced by a company by the name of Telestream, and down below the chat box here you'll see a link for Wirecast. You're welcome to click on that if you want to look for more information about Wirecast and check that out as well. By the way, just in case you've joined us, this is going to be archived, and you can watch this from the very beginning. Probably sometime tomorrow evening we'll have it archived for you, as well as the other broadcasts we've done. Okay, talking with Michael Robinson here, and so your whole deal on this thing is you like it, but do you see something in the future for what you're doing besides Wirecast, or are you just kind of hoping that, okay, Wirecast 4.0 is going to help you?
I think Wirecast, in conjunction with the right hardware, you can do top of the line TV production on the internet.
Okay.
The two together with the software, you may need, and like I said, I may need a faster Mac Pro, more memory to get it to work the way I was running it on a G5 Macintosh computer,
right,
and I was having glitches all over. And when I switched to the Mac Pro, all those glitches went away. So it was hard. It needs a great video card, and if you get a 1 gigabyte video card, like I said, I haven't experimented with all those things. You have to find out if that'll help. Yeah. But it definitely uses your video card. So if the better video card you have, the better quality, the less glitches you're going to have. Okay. So I haven't gotten to that place, but if someone else tries it out, definitely let me know.
Well, and that's the value of what we're doing here. We'd love to hear from you if you're doing some of this already. It's again, it's what we said here a few minutes ago. You start out small. You start out and you begin to take small steps.
Right.
And sometimes it just takes a while with budget and to be able to get everything that you want. But if you keep working at it, it begins to come together. I'm just amazed in the 2 years I've seen at a live church how far they've come with what they do with the streaming.
Yeah.
And there's other churches out there that are doing the same. Okay, question here. Can you use an external video card? External. Can you use that?
I haven't tried to use an external video card, but as long as it can read the card, you can use it.
Okay.
So you just have to you want to try it out and see. But I recommend getting an internal video card, the one that's on board. So
okay, good. All right. What else am I doing here as far as questions? Have I missed anything here yet? My producer, Steve Lacey, is shaking his head. Either that or he's disappointed in me. Okay, good. Okay. You guys use QuickTime?
QuickTime to do what exactly?
To do any editing with your video, or
for editing of video, what I usually do for the television or for the archives, I have Wirecast lets you do multiple streams.
Okay.
So you can actually archive the MP4 file.
Okay.
So I can do the stream, and then at the end of service, that file is saved as an MOV file.
Okay.
And then I convert that file to an MP4 file to upload to the internet.
Okay.
So it does that all while I'm broadcasting.
Okay.
So obviously, if there's a glitch while you're broadcasting, then it's in the file.
Okay.
But we do have a backup camera recording. So they'll get the service. It just won't have all the bells and whistles from Wirecast.
Okay.
They'll just hear Steve preaching and see him preaching.
Ah, okay.
So we
so
kind
that's
of
your redundancy.
We have a redundancy, yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you about that. That's good. That's good. Okay. Pastor Lane, explain editing your files. How do you edit your files?
That's another good thing about Wirecast is that if you plan, you plan your shots. So basically you're doing your production so you don't have to edit.
Okay.
So you start your services, you click your shot when services starts, you can pause your broadcast, you can pause your recording. So by the end of it, everything should be ready to go. You don't have to do any editing of the actual part that you're going to upload to the internet. Now, if you're trying to use it for DVD production or something else, then that's probably not the best software to use for that, at least not in this version.
Okay.
The newer version, supposedly, you'll be able to produce a high-res file for video.
That's a 4.0.
4.0. So that way, because right now we still produce for a TV show, and we still have to produce for the internet because the quality isn't there with Wirecast.
And you guys are on TV. I was going to ask you about that.
We are on
television.
We're on Access, yes.
Wow. How's that working out for you?
We've been on for four years, so it's going pretty good. We get people coming.
Okay.
So.
All right. Awesome. And then you're also on radio. You're on KGMS radio.
We're on the radio.
And,
definitely.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
But what time? 12:45.
12:45 on the 940 dial.
All right. 940.
But definitely with the recorder, we triple record everything.
Okay.
So if something goes down, we have a backup of it because you never know when the computer's going to crash. You never know when the video guy gets distracted or something. So we make sure we have copies of everything. So worst case, you won't get bells and whistles, but you'll get the video.
You get the raw.
And I do use Final Cut. And we use Final Cut Express to do video editing for the real stuff.
Okay.
So
Final Cut.
Yeah, Final Cut.
Okay.
Final Cut Express is $199. If you want Final Cut Pro, you get the suite. It's $999.
Okay.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
You know, the Bible says in Ecclesiastics, money is the answer to everything. Of course, that's the living Bible version, but we'll go with that. Hear that, Steve? Okay, so all right, we're just about out of time. If you have any more questions, feel free to type them in here. In fact, when we do eventually sign off here in about 5 minutes, we'll actually stick around for a while. And even though the video might be down, we'll be on chat here, and so you're welcome to ask us questions after we actually stop broadcasting. We'll still read the chat here, and we'll respond to you via chat. What's going on with Michael Robinson? We've been talking here a little bit about Wirecast, but I want to just take a moment to ask you, what's God doing in your life?
Well, with the streaming, I've been able to I'm the web pastor, so I'm not like Steve. I don't get up in front, but I do try to minister to the people online, and it's great. We got people all over the country tuning in, especially on Saturday. We get a lot of Messianic Jewish people who are like, they couldn't find one in their area, but they found us online. So it's great to be able to minister to them and answer their questions. And if I can't, I send it to Steve. But the interaction of people.
Because you're not Jewish, are you?
Not that I know of, but you never know.
I don't know.
But so that's been really interesting to interact with them and being able to minister, and the feedback coming back of how wonderful it is to broadcast. You know, someone's sick at home, they can refer a friend or a family member. They don't feel intimidated. And my job is really, I'm not as active online yet, just because I want them to pay attention to the services. But if something comes up, we can pray on the spot. Someone's sick. And it's a blessing for me. God's, giving me the opportunity to minister without having to be in front of a camera. I don't like being in front of the camera.
Now speaking about being in front of the camera, one of the things we're going to do at Alive here eventually is we do a deal where, you have the band playing, and then we have elder announcement gets up and makes announcements. What we're going to eventually do is actually break away to the web pastor, whoever that might be, and let him or her make announcements addressing people online. Do you guys have any plans to do that?
I'm thinking about that because right now we have a mic after announcements where people can come up and talk to the people online, because Steve announces who's online. We haven't gotten so big that he can't. So they interact a little bit there, and they type to me, say hello to so-and-so. So it's creating that relationship. Eventually, although, I would like to have a time where either before or during the break, we're just, conversate visually or just through my voice. Thinking of hooking up a mic and starting a little conversation with them where I don't have to type. Because the most distracting part of doing this is typing and trying to focus on the video for Wirecast. So if I could just talk to them, that'll start that relationship on a different level.
Yeah, I think it's something you might consider. One of the things we're also talking about doing, besides just breaking away to the web pastor, is also dragging our senior pastor, or whatever he calls himself now, lead pastor, in too, because he would have the time to be able to do that for a couple minutes before he gets up. So I think it's a great deal. Okay, we're about out of time here, folks. You can hang around even after we stop broadcasting. You can hang around here. We'll talk to you via the chat box here. Michael, I sure appreciate you coming down here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I know you had to go clear across town to do it, but
it's only gas.
It's only gas. It's only $3 a gallon.
That's right.
But honestly, we're glad to have you here, and we appreciate what you guys are doing. There are some links to the churches that Michael's a part of, Book of Life Community Church, as well as Beth Sar Shalom, and the links to how to contact us here at Streaming Church TV. I'm Phil Thompson. Thanks for being with us. You can catch us online next Thursday night at 6 o'clock here. Also check out our archives. On behalf of Steve Lacey, myself, and Michael, have a great evening. We love you. God bless you. Bye-bye.